Mets, Red Sox, A's, Mariners, best bets in Pirates and the Chicago Cubs with Skeens on the mound and Rays and Twins. All that info coming your way here in just a few moments. You're watching First Pitch on WagerTalk TV. Welcome on in. Dan Alexander driving the ship here for you and joining me, two of the best in the biz. That's right. We got Jesse Schule holding it down, and we also got Adam Trigger fresh off of giving you all kinds of winners on the show yesterday. If you're joining us, make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe, and that little bell will keep you notified when we're going live here. And you'll want to be subscribed because we're getting into football season. All the info that you know and love coming your way here. And shout out to those who joined us yesterday. Hop below in the comments and let us know if you're joining us and you did yesterday, because the gentleman cashed in. Both best bets hit, and we had some folks saying we're parlaying them together. We're trying to get this money, and outright winners and some dogs got you that money yesterday. So, Jesse, you got to live up to the hot run that we started with on Labor Day, and we'll start with one of the teams that cashed in for us on the best bet segment. That's the Mets taking on the Red Sox again here. And Jesse, when the Mets really need it the most, starting pitching is really getting it done for them, man. And the bats a little bit are starting to follow, but it's been a 5-game win streak, so now they're seeking 6. It's going to be Peterson looking to be the latest Mets pitchers to absolutely deal. He's going to be opposing Cutter Crawford. Jesse, how are we betting this game out of the gate?
Yeah, Dan, I mean, the price really jumps out to me here. The Mets just a short favorite, and I'm trying to figure out why that is. I guess when I look at it, Boston does have a better road record than the Mets have at home. Boston with a 39-30 road record. The Mets just 36-33 at home. And Cutter Crawford, he's got decent numbers overall this season, an ERA of 4.12 and a really striking 1.10 whip. So decent numbers for Cutter Crawford. The unfortunate part for him, though, is it's all fallen apart in recent weeks. He's 1-4 with a 5.88 ERA in his last 5 starts. And Boston has lost 4 of 5 and 8 of their last 11. The Mets, on the other hand, have won 5 straight, 9 of their last 12. They're just a half game out of a wild card spot. They really need this. They hand the ball to David Peterson, who is 8-1 with a 2.83 ERA. And much like Crawford, his recent splits tell us an even different story. 3-0 with a 1.65 ERA in his last 5. It's pretty clear here. You break down the starting pitching, you break down the way each team's playing. It almost scares me how clear the numbers point toward the Mets today, but I will back the Mets.
Looking towards the Met, the shorts favorite, says our man Jesse Schule. Hop below in the comments. Let us know which games you're eyeing and any value that maybe you identified there. Keep the comments coming. Shout out to the chat joining us live. Browns is the Browns. Welcome on in, man. Happy to have you here. Drew Schultz, Titan CT, Michael holding down NY, and Trig, you'll love this one. Durko Gaming, one of your biggest fans, back in the chat for you, Trig. He's saying Trig with a huge morning in KBO. Love that guy. So the chat here is bumping, and they're big Adam Trigger fans. So, hey, whether they like the long analysis or not, Trig, you keep cashing tickets. People won't care what you're talking about. That's for damn sure. Let's swing it, though, and talk about this A's and Mariners game, because one of those outright winning dogs that you had for the folks on yesterday's show was the A's. And you look at this Mariners side, 3 straight losses. Now they're sitting 5.5 games out from a wild card spot. Things just have not gone right for them. And like we kind of talked about yesterday, A's just playing with house money. So do we just kind of go back to the well here, look towards the A's? How are you looking to bet this one, Trig?
Yeah, we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks. Listen, I have found reasons to not make them best bets, but if you've kind of followed along on First Pitch for like the last 2.5 weeks, you've probably made some money back in the Oakland A's. I think this is going to be I tweeted it earlier, like jokingly, but I really think this is going to be the team that wins this division next year. I think they will come into the season by far the best team in the AL West. And there'll be probably value to bet that in the offseason. But we're still in September. It's still 2024. So let's talk about this game. And once again, I think the A's are value play. I strongly considered them for my card here, +1.5. It's actually almost playable at -130. And if this continues to take money, I may have to jump in with a client play on that +1.5. But really, the key is going to be JT Ginn. So JT Ginn, for those of you who are not familiar with him, was a first rounder back in like 2018, decided to go to college. I believe he went to Mississippi State, ended up being drafted in the second round in 2020. And he was kind of the key piece of the Chris Bassett trade. So when the Mets got Bassett from the A's, he was the key piece in that deal. You're not going to know, like, it's hard to look at his numbers and understand how good he is because he's had some blow-ups this year at the minor league level. So when you kind of pull up his AA and AAA numbers, they're really kind of like pedestrian, just on paper. And it's because there's been a few games where he's just gotten mauled. But I don't think that tells the full story. And watching him through the course of the year, especially at AAA, there's been more good than bad. And I do think that that's something that might get corrected working with the big league pitching coaches, because there's, without a doubt, he has big league stuff. Now, 2.5 weeks ago when we did this show, I talked about being excited that they were bringing him up to be like a middle reliever. He did come up in that role, had 2 really strong relief outings. Last week, they decided to give him a start against the Reds. Again, numbers not going to jump off the page, but I thought he threw the ball well. He managed to go 5 innings, 4 runs, struck out 4, kept his team in the game. And I think he'll do that here. The Mariners right now, I mean, this lineup is just horrible. Some numbers to back that up. They've now lost 13 of 19, so there's that. They are 2-12 in their last 14 road games. And in those 14 road games, they're hitting under 200 as a team. So if he's on, if Ginn has his best stuff, rest assured the Mariners are going to do nothing against him. I can just about guarantee that because they're not hitting anyone right now. Now, Luis Castillo, you're going to pay for the name there. He's having another solid season. It's just what he does. But what we've established with the A's, we know the way they score their runs is the long ball. That's how they score. More than 50% of their runs this year have come from the home run. They're top 5 in the league in home runs this year. And Luis Castillo is suddenly serving them up. 7 homers in his last 4 starts. So over his last 23 innings pitched, he's given up 7 home runs. And you just can't do that against the A's because they hit a couple homers and they're also very good at playing with a lead. They've been they haven't won a ton of games this year overall, but typically when they get out in front and they can get a lead, they've got the horses at the back end of that bullpen to finish it off. I think Mason Miller will come out and bounce back here. He kind of gave the game up on Sunday, didn't pitch yesterday, and they only used Grant Holman for 17 pitches last night. So I think you see him back in a high leverage spot tonight. I don't know how you're getting a 1.5 here. I think the Mariners are cooked. I would just take the 1.5 with the A's, and it may creep its way onto my client card if the Mariners keep taking money.
Yeah, love the breakdown there. Adam Trigger, WT.buzz/AT is where you can find them. Shout out to those joining us over on TikTok, and shout out to Pete. It's like an episode of The Bachelor here. We just got a rose from our man Pete. We appreciate the gift, man. Keep them coming, and keep those likes and comments coming. That is for damn sure. Some other games that I want to touch upon here. We're going to get into the Yankees and Rangers. Of course, we're going to talk my Phillies as they're taking on the Toronto Blue Jays because I think some interesting moves with the pitchers in that one with one getting recalled. And then we'll, of course, talk Patrick Corbin Day that hasn't been going too great for those fading the Washington Nationals when we're celebrating that. So those few games coming up, best bets in Tampa Bay and Minnesota and Pittsburgh and Chicago coming your way here. So stay tuned. We'll touch upon those. Hop below in the comments and let us know your best bets. But I'm going to throw it back your way, Jesse. Talk this Yankees and Rangers game because game 1 was all Yanks and an easy over. 8-4 was the final in that one. So now we're looking at Rodon on the bump and Haney opposing him. So it's looking like an all-lefty affair this evening. 8:05 first pitch in this series. How are you looking to bet this game 2 set?
Well, I'm definitely not looking to bet the Yankees as a favorite. They might have got the win yesterday, but they've been pretty average basically since the All-Star break. And Rodon, he's not exactly a consistent pitcher in my opinion. Yeah, he's had a few decent starts. He's been better at home than on the road. You look at his ERA in road games, 5.87. That is not good. Texas has been decent. They've won 5 of their last 7. I mean, I know it's been a disappointing season for Texas, but the last 7 games they've looked all right. Heaney, not great numbers overall. He's not getting the wins, but his ERA isn't very high. He's got an ERA just over 3 at home. His ERA is just over 3 in his last 5 starts. He's been pitching well enough to keep them in games. And if you're looking to play a dog on the run line, that's all you really need. And I was looking at the run line for this game, pretty cheap price at 130. I'm always tempted to take the runs at a price like that, even in a ballpark such as Texas, where you don't see quite as many 1-run games. But I'll take a stab at Texas plus the 1.5.
Looking towards Texas and keeping the game close in stark contrast to what happened in game 1. Just a lean there for our man Jesse Schule. You can check him out at wt.buzz/JS. And folks, we got a terrific deal going on right now. You can try out any of these handicappers for a 3-day set, all access under $50. So any release that you want, NFL, college football, MLB, soccer. If you're looking at like an Andy Lang, looking at some UFC plays, 3-day all access. You can stack them. You can get them from as many cappers as you want. So check these guys out. That includes Adam Trigger if you want some KBO action and on the diamond with the college football, with NFL kicking off this week. It's a hell of a time to try out if you haven't before, and you can do it for under a 50 spot there. Trig, feel free to give any thoughts if you have them on that Yankees and Texas game. Think Jesse hit it pretty well. If you don't want to chime in on that one, let us know what your thoughts were with my Phillies going today off the day of rest against the Blue Jays. The interesting thing that I kind of alluded to was the righty Tyler Phillips coming up. He had a decent stint with the Phils until things kind of fell apart, and then he was sent down, obviously, and now he's been recalled back on up from Lehigh Valley as they were able to expand their roster a little bit. So for you, I know that you're always looking at how some of maybe these AAA pitchers translate, moving up, moving down. So did anything stand out to you with Tyler Phillips going to be back on the Phils where he was seen a little bit earlier in the season here as they open up a set against the Blue Jays?
Yeah, I thought about the Blue Jays here. So I rank out all of the AAA, the top position players and the top, the pitchers. I try to have a player ranking because I handicap AAA baseball every single day. And the key to that is knowing like who's in the lineup and which pitchers are, where they are in the sort of the pecking order. And the reason I bring that up here is Tyler Phillips never really made his way to, anywhere near the top of my pitcher ratings at the AAA level. So when he came out in his first 4, he gets called up, which made sense. He was kind of the, arguably the best starter on that Lehigh Valley team, which doesn't have a great team this year. But when he got called up and came out and had like 3 or 4 good starts, I said, okay, well, now's probably the time to go against him. And I think we actually talked about it on First Pitch when he got, I believe it was a Friday show. He was pitching against the Mariners on a Friday night and he got blown up. And I said, you know what, that's probably more what I expected as opposed to like the start prior where he fired a complete game shutout against the Guardians. So now he's back. I still kind of approach it like that. I still think he's somewhat of a fade at the big league level. And you know what? I'll say this with the Blue Jays. I like the young guys that they have into the mix now. Like the Blue Jays are creeping their way into like play on territory for me, Dan. The reason being, they showed almost no energy for the first half of the year. I really think that the whole Vlad, Bo Bichette, Biggio's no longer with the team, but like that whole sort of crew that was supposed to be good, I really would love to see the Jays just totally go away from that. But they kind of have getting the younger guys into the lineup, and there's some talent there. I love Wagner. I think Loperfido will end up being better than he's been so far. So I don't mind the Jays here. I still think Chris Bassett can be really good. I still think he's a productive big league starter. You're going to give me him at home, -110, -115. I think there's some there's some things to like about the Jays. So didn't make my card, but I definitely lean Toronto in this one.
All right, Trig will no longer be on first pitch making a case in game one against my Phillies. No, I'm kind of with you there, man. I mean, just the major question marks, and that's why I wanted to bring that game up, because sure, you could look at how the Phillies were red hot, but now, you're looking at a different kind of semblance of what you're going to be getting there on the bump. And
yeah, and
I always like riding the team. I always like riding a team. I like riding a team trig too that's hot, that doesn't have to go, boom, here's your day of rest. You know what I mean? Like that big emotional win against your rival for the Braves, you have a day off, and now it's like we got a new starting pitcher recalled here. So I think that this is more of a stay away game.
That's like a point. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's really like maybe even the best point with the way the schedule shapes up. They just took 3 of 4 from the Braves. Huge for them. That was a big series. Sunday night, they walk it off with Castellanos, and then, like, you're right, they have a day off. This is only a 2-game series, then they got to go back to Florida. So it's absolute flat spot in the schedule for them as well.
Yeah, if we were on bet on it, this would have some sandwich game potential.
Yeah.
That is for sure for our man Marco D'Angelo. If you haven't checked out Bet on It, NFL Week 1 edition coming your way Wednesday evening, college Week 2 edition coming your way as well on Wednesday. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and the little bell. It'll tell you when those shows go live. The sooner you get to them, the sooner you join us here live, the more likely you're going to be getting on the right side of some of these line moves. That is for sure. Jesse, before we were getting here on the show, you and I were talking about Patrick Corbin Day. Yay! Everybody celebrates, right? Well, if you've been celebrating Patrick Corbin Day, and by that we mean fading the Nationals when he is on the bump, you haven't been having a good time recently. He's taking on the Marlins today, so it's Corbin and Meyer, a dreadful starting pitching matchup here, but as of late, Corbin's been cashing some tickets. So for you, Jesse, anything stand out to you in this game? 6:40 is the start time. Because the only thing that stands out to me is the days of just getting to blindly fade Patrick Corbin are gone, and I miss him because it was a fun run that we had, but it seems like that run's over, eh, Jesse?
Yeah, certainly fading Patrick Corbin hasn't been great of late, but this actually looks like a good spot to back the Nationals, in my opinion. Miami coming back from San Francisco. They were out west. They had some success. They won 2 of 3 games, I think, in San Francisco. And Washington with Corbin, Corbin pitching well. And I think Washington probably has a better lineup at this point in time after Miami traded a bunch of their position players. Meyer, when he first got called up, he was pitching well, not so much as of late. Certainly Corbin's the hotter pitcher. I don't like the first game back for Miami. I think this is a great spot to back Patrick Corbin and the Nationals. And there's a reason why it's the price is where it is, at just pretty close to a pick 'em. So, yeah, I think today is the day to bet on Patrick Corbin.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I can't do it. If anything, the fact that I've had to lose some coin on fading Pat Corbin makes me just want to absolutely cross that one off my list. But a case to be made, says our man Jesse Schule. Check it out over at WagerTalk.com. You can see his page, wt.buzz/JS. Trig also has a 5%er rocking in MLB today. You can grab that over at his page using that deal. You can buy just the play, sure, but that all access for 3 days will get you ready to go for the weekend and grab you that 5%er. So that's the way that I would probably look at it. All right, we got best bets coming up in just a moment. We'll touch upon one more game. You can keep those comments coming, and then we'll try and hit some of those on the way out. We got Tampa Bay and the Twins coming up, and we got Pittsburgh and Chicago Cubs coming your way in best bets. But first, let's talk last game on the board here. Trig has some feelings on this Giants and D-backs game. It's Nelson and Harrison in the nightcap, 9:45 start in this one. And I mean, for either way that you want to back this, nice price if you're looking to go on the favorite. And, you get some decent take back on the dog here. D-backs are a team you've had a real nice read on as of late, Trig. I'm wondering how you think here in this one going at Oracle Park.
Yeah, so I was waiting to see who the starter was going to be. I think you're right. It does look like it's probably going to be Harrison, and I think that's probably why Arizona just took some money I think that minus 110, minus 115 is gone. It looks like it's up to minus 130. I was considering getting out ahead of that because I did want to play against the Giants if they were going to throw a lefty here, and it looks like they are, and it's probably why it moved 20 cents. But I didn't see that confirmed just yet. But if it's Harrison, I definitely agree with the move. Arizona's been awesome against left-handed pitching all season, and even with sort of the recent injuries, like they still, they were up against a Southpaw over the weekend. They hit him hard. They had a 14-3 win against the Dodgers 2 days ago. Yesterday, kind of never in it. They took their beating in the final, like the wraparound game of that series. But I definitely could see them bouncing back here. The Giants are just not a team that I'm overly high on. I think that they're going to sort of, they've kind of already been bowing out of the Rays stand, but like I would expect them to continue to decline behind Helio Ramos. There's just not much in the way of offense for this team. And Arizona, even with some of the guys they've had out recently, I still love the way this team plays. I've been kind of saying it all year. And we've pretty much cashed with them more often than not. So again, I don't know if this will be an ad for me, but I definitely lean toward the Diamondbacks here. I think they're just the better team, and yet you give them Kyle Harrison, I think they'll be able to do something with that. So the lean is D-backs.
WT.buzz/AT with the D-backs lean. Hop below in the comments. Let us know what games you are eyeing on betting. And as Trigg said, yes, Harrison may be the probable pitcher, but still showing on the WagerTalk live odds screen as undecided. Looking like we're still sitting at that 7.5 total.
I'll circle.
I'm
going to use that.
Go ahead.
I'm going to use that. I'm going to be on WagerTalk today in an hour, and I'll do a more prepared breakdown for that game. So you tune into WagerTalk today. I'll have a better breakdown for that. Hopefully we have a starting pitcher by then.
Adam, the company man Trigger, working in a plug for hanging around for WagerTalk today. Well done out of you, Trig. That is for damn sure. Jesse, wondering for you, what do you have locked and loaded over at the page? That special is just a beautiful thing. People getting the action through the weekend here, grabbing that 3-day all access, and you can use it as many times. So what will folks get when they partner with you heading towards the weekend? And also let us know what the best bet is today. We got Pirates and the Cubs. It's going to be the fourth time that the Cubs will be seeing Paul Skeens on the mound, or should we phrase it that Skeens seeing the Cubs, because it seems like they always like pulling them and leaving the Pirates with a loss after he absolutely deals. So Pirates and Cubs, and what's over at the page, WT.buzz/JS.
Yeah, that last week's game in Pittsburgh with Skeens starting opposite Hendricks, probably the sickest bad beat of the season.
Unreal.
Skeens did his part, 5 innings, 3 runs, one of those unearned, 6 Ks. Pirates had a 10-3 lead after 5 innings. So certainly if you bet them for the first 5, and if you're betting on the Pirates because you're a Skeens fanboy, there's really no need to bet them full game when you could bet them first 5. And that's what I'm going to do here. And it's a lot less about me being a Skeens fanboy than it is about the guy going for the Cubs. Kyle Hendricks, Cy Young winner in his career, but not as of late. He's brutal this year. And in that game in Pittsburgh last week, he just went 1.2 innings, gave up 6 runs on 8 hits, 3 walks, just 2 strikeouts. And, that's one game. So, maybe he bounces back. But then look at his 3 starts combined against the Pirates this year. Hendricks is 0-1 with an ERA of 11.12. He's given up 15 runs on 21 hits in just 11 1/3 innings in those 3 games. Hendricks is just a gas can right now, and I'm sure the Cubs would rather have somebody else to throw out there against the Pirates. They're gonna hope they're within 3 or 4 runs after 5 innings so they can come back and do what they did last week. But Skeens probably doesn't have to be at his best to power the Pirates to a lead after 5 innings. So the play for me on the best bet will be Pittsburgh first 5 money line. I think that's around 135. As far as what is available on my page today, I'm actually probably going to be tuning into WagerTalk today to hear what Adam Trigger has to say about why the Giants didn't just name Harrison earlier. It looked like Harrison was the obvious choice for the starter today. I'm curious as to why they still haven't filled that in. There's no line available for that game. I'm interested in betting on that game, and that may well be my baseball play for today. But of course, the thing to really look forward to is college football. And after I got my ass handed to me on Saturday with college football, and that doesn't happen very often. So look out in week 2 because I'm going to call my shot and guarantee victory a la Joe Namath or Mark Messier.
Wow, the gauntlet being tossed down by our man, Jesse Schule. I love to see it, and I also will love to see the eventual bench pressing videos that we'll get from Jesse Schule. At Jesse Schule on social media, check him out. Whenever he is winning, the content just never stops rolling over at his page. That is for sure. So we're looking at the first 5 with the Pittsburgh Pirates. That's the best bet for our man, Jesse Schule. Check him out over at WagerTalk.com. Trig, we mentioned it earlier, that 5%er that you got rocking tonight. I know you're pumped up for that one. I know you're pumped up that NFL Week 1 is here as well. So a great time to check you out with that 3-day deal that we have rocking. I know you also have a best bet here for the folks in the Rays and the Minnesota Twins game. Interestingly enough, for a guy like you who loves betting the 1.5 runs, this has been the series to do it, I believe, or the matchup to do it. 4 meetings so far between these clubs. They've been decided by exactly 1 run. And I look at this Rays team yesterday. They had their chances, but they end up going 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. So whenever I see a number like that that's pretty lopsided, you think maybe there's a chance for some positive regression. Is that how you see this game going tonight?
Yeah, so real quick, I just want to comment on Giants, Diamondbacks real quick. I will, like I said, I'll find out by the time we're on Wager Talk today. But I do think that it's possible they call up Tristan Beck to start. That would be the only reason they might push Harrison back. So I just double-checked. He's been rehabbing at AAA, and it is his turn to pitch for Sacramento tonight. So they might just be trying to manipulate their rotation. But they've been using him as a starter in AAA. So I could see them giving Harrison another day. Bringing Tristan Beck up to start would completely change the handicap. So like I said, hopefully we'll have more info on that an hour from now on Wager Talk today. As far as this game's concerned, I'm going to contradict myself a little bit here. And based on something I wrote yesterday, now we didn't talk about this game, at least I didn't talk about this game on First Pitch because this was my best bet yesterday, 4% play with the Twins, which won. But I did say that I was looking to back the Twins in this series, looking for spots to come in with the Twins in this series. But based on what happened last night and the way I think the Twins are going to play this, I see them being potentially pretty vulnerable here in this spot. So I do like the Rays, and I'm actually going to make the Rays the best bet for the show. And I think the only reason I haven't added the Rays to my client card yet is because I came into this series wanting to play the Twins. But here's kind of how last night's game played out. So Simeon Woods Richardson did not make it deep. What that meant was the Twins kind of had to unload the bullpen. They needed a win, and they went after it. They went Alcala to Henriquez to Jax. That's 2 days in a row for Griffin Jax. Sands, that's 2 days in a row for Sands. And then Johan Duran, 2 days in a row for him. So they really, they had the lead, and you could tell they were just like, nope, we got to try to pin this lead down and win this game. Now, when I wrote about the Twins yesterday, I thought they were going to use Lewis Varland in relief. He's a guy that they just called up as part of the 40-man roster expansion. And I figured that they would go Simeon Woods Richardson to Varland, but now I'm starting to read that Varland is probably going to get the start on Wednesday. The reason that's so important here is David Festa has really struggled the second time through the order. So if, for example, if I knew that this was going to go Festa to Varland, then to the relievers, I wouldn't want any part of going against the Twins. But I'm thinking Varland's going to be the starter on Wednesday now. And that really changes things because Festa, he was good last time out against the Braves, but when he hasn't been good, Dan, it's because he's getting blown up the second time through the order. And if that's the case here and he only gives them 4 innings, I think the Twins are in real trouble trying to piece together the last 4 or 5 innings of this game, especially knowing that, are they going to throw Duran 3 days in a row? They're probably not going to throw Jax 3 days in a row because 2 days ago, he threw 30 pitches. And that's really where the Twins' weakness lies. Their middle relief is not good. Jackson Durant are going to nail down most games. But once you get past those two, it's real sketchy in the middle relief. I thought they were going to use Varland as a middle reliever, but apparently they're going to throw him as a starter on Wednesday. I don't know if that means Zebby Matthews maybe gets skipped, but that could, again, it could leave the Twins very vulnerable here. On the side of the Rays, you got to sort of like Jeffrey Springs at this point. I mean, his season didn't start until July 30th, so he's only kind of been a couple of those early starts. You got to just give him a pass. He was rehabbing a long-term injury. First one out, he kind of got knocked around by the Marlins, but 3 of his last 4 starts, he's been virtually unhittable. I made the mistake of going against him a couple weeks ago with the Diamondbacks. He was literally wipeout stuff, 7 strikeouts in 5 innings. And then last time out against the Mariners, 5 innings, 9 strikeouts. So he's only really, I don't know that you'll see him for more than 5 or 6, but the 5 or 6 innings he's in there is probably going to be pretty good. So if Springs can match Festo, which I think he probably will, you could end up with a pretty big bullpen edge here on the side of the Rays. And if you watch last night's game, Dan, it really felt like they were 1 hit away all night. I was sitting there with the Twins thinking, man, like the Twins are asking for it here, and the Rays just could not get that timely hit to put them over the hump. I feel like it comes today. So Rays best bet for the show. Not sure I'll put it on the client card, but I feel like this is where the Twins probably drop one.
Rays money line, the best bet for our man Trig here for free. Hop below in the comments. Let us know what your best bet is, and best of luck to you. Trig mentioned going to be here just about 30 minutes away from the start of Wager Talk today. Trig will be alongside our friend Nick Parsons from over at sportsmemo.com. Carmine Bianco, the #1 capper in NFL last season, making his return to talk some NFL and some MLB. And then we also have holding it down there on the show. We got Carmine and Trig, Nick Parsons, and then we'll have, of course, Teddy Covers. And apparently Prez is back. So I guess you never know when the Prez is actually going to be on air with us, but tomorrow or today is one of those days when the Prez will be joining us. So make sure you stick around. Just 30 minutes from now, Wager Talk today, hopefully getting you some more winners. Keep those comments coming and subscribe to the channel, folks. If you're watching us on TikTok, on X, on Instagram, that follow button goes a long way. Jesse Schule looking at the Pirates in the first 5. Trig, best bet with the Rays over the Twins. And we will see you locked and loaded back here tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern on the East Coast, 8 a.m. on the West Coast for first pitch. Make sure you join us, and we'll see you locked and loaded for a Wednesday edition. Until then, best of luck, folks. Cash those tickets, and we'll see you next time.